Hello everybody, welcome to the IAM IT YouTube channel. My name is Shabazz Dan, as ever, I'm the IT Geek. Welcome back to another episode within my SC100 Microsoft Cyber Security Architect Exam series. We've kind of chugging along with this series now. We've been focusing on identity in this topic, which is topic 6. So this is going to be episode 3 in that topic. I've covered a lot of ground with regards to user management, but also external identities. So without further ado, let's continue with today's episode. So again, as I mentioned, this is the Microsoft Cybersecurity Architect exam series. This is topic 6, part 3. We do have another part after this. But today, again, we're kind of focusing on the identity. So this topic is called Design Solutions for Identity and Access Management. And today we're going to focus on two areas. First of all, designing model authentication and authorization strategies. And then talk about aligning conditional access with zero trust. Then we'll do a demo. We'll focus that demo on sort of conditional access and the options we have around that. So let's talk now a bit about designing model authentication and authorization strategies within Entra. So we're going to try and address a few different areas when we talk about model authentication and authorization. Specifically, conditional access, we'll focus on that. Continuous access authentication, threat intelligence integration, and risk scoring as well. So let's talk about conditional access first of all. So this is trying to automate, make automated access control decisions based on conditions for accessing your cloud apps. You can configure sort of common Microsoft Entra ID conditional access policies, and these are based on a group, a location, and application sensitivity for SaaS apps and your sort of Microsoft Entra connected apps as well. Also got to configure conditional access to make sure you block legacy protocols as well, like SMTP, POP3, things like that. Finally, when it comes to attackers, they're going to exploit any weaknesses in older protocols every day, particularly for sort of password spray attacks as well. We talk about sort of continuous access authentication. This is like a timely sort of response to policy violations or sort of security issues. And these really require sort of a conversation, so to speak, or sort of a virtual conversation between the token issuer, which is Entra, and the sort of relying party, which is the application. We need to make sure that the relying party or the application can see when properties change, like the network location, and they can then tell or report that to the token issuer. Also gives the token issuer a way to tell the sort of application or the relying party to stop respecting tokens for a sort of given user. Because of the account compromise, you can block login and block authentication and disable that account or sort of other concerns as well. The mechanism for this sort of virtual conversation is sort of continuous access evaluation, or CAE. And this is implemented by enabling services like Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, and Teams to subscribe to that critical Entra ID events. Those events can then be evaluated and enforced in sort of real time. Then we have that sort of threat intelligence integration for using Entra ID protection or identity protection. And with identity protection, it's going to allow you as a business or organization to accomplish 3 sort of key tasks. First one is to automate detection and remediation of sort of identity-based risks. It's going to allow you to investigate risks using data in the portal. And finally, it's going to allow you to export risk detection data to other tools as well. Identity protection uses the sort of learnings Microsoft have acquired from their sort of position in organizations with Entra ID, the consumer space with Microsoft accounts, and gaming with Xbox to protect your users. Microsoft analyzes trillions of signals per day to identify and protect customers from these threats. And the signals generated by and fed to identity protection can then further be transferred to tools like conditional access to make those access decisions, or fed back to secure information and event management, SIAM, basically CM tool for sort of further investigation. We talk about detecting risk as well. Identity protection detects risks and threats for many types, including anonymous IP use, sort of atypical travel, malware-linked IP addresses, unfamiliar sign-in properties, leak credentials, password sprays, and many more. The risk/threat signals can sort of trigger remediation efforts as well, such as the requirement to perform MFA or reset your password, or even block access until the administrator actually takes a manual action. Talk about investigating risk as well. Administrators can sort of review detections and sort of take action on them if needed. And there's sort of three main key reports the administrators can use to investigate identity protection. They are risky users report, risky signing report, and risky detection report. Let's talk about the risk levels as well now to finish off this slide. So identity protection categorizes risk into low, medium, and high sort of tiers. Microsoft doesn't provide specific details about how risk is calculated, but each level of risk sort of brings high confidence that the user or the actual sign-in is compromised. An example of this is something like, one instance of unfamiliar sign-in properties for a user might not be as threatening as sort of leaked credentials for another. And risk-based policies can be created in the identity protection as well, but it's recommended to do that with conditional access policies. Let's talk about risk scoring, specifically identity protection and conditional access. So during each sign-in, identity protection analyzes hundreds of signals in real time and calculates a sort of sign-in risk level. And this represents the probability that the given authentication request isn't authorized. This level then gets sent to a conditional access policy where the organization's configured policies are sort of evaluated. Access control policies can be applied to protect organizations when the sign-in or the user is detected to be at risk. And such policies are kind of called risk-based policies. Entra ID conditional access offers sort of two risk conditions, sign-in risk and then user risk. Organizations can create access policies by configuring these two risk conditions and choosing an access control method. And during the sign-in, identity protection will send the detected risk levels to the conditional access policy, and the risk-based policies will apply if the policy conditions are satisfied. An example of this is shown in this diagram that we can see, where if the organization has a sign-in risk policy that requires MFA, then the sign-in risk level is medium or high. And then their users must complete MFA when their sign-in risk is medium or high, essentially. And this example, also demonstrates sort of a main benefit of risk-based policy, which is sort of the automatic risk remediation. So when the user successfully completes the access control, like a secure password change, their risk is then remediated, essentially. And the sign-in session and user account won't be a risk, and no actions are needed from the administrator. Allowing users to sort of self-remediate using this process will significantly reduce the risk investigation and remediation burden on your administrators, and it's still going to protect you as an organization as well from sort of security compromises. We then have this sign-in risk-based conditional access policy. So this is where during its sign-in, identity protection analyzes all those authentications, and it kind of gives you that sort of risk level, the probability that it's not authorized. And again, this risk level is again sent to the conditional access policy, as we mentioned. Administrators can configure sign-in risk-based conditional access policies to enforce access controls as well based on sign-in risk. And those include, requirements such as block access, allow access, or require MFA. If user risks are detected on sign-in, users can perform the required access controls such as MFA to that self-remediate, as we mentioned. Let's move on now to talk about aligning conditional access to sort of zero trust. We've talked a lot about zero trust in general in this series already. So as we've said, a conditional access policy is used as a policy engine for a zero trust architecture, and this covers both policy definition and policy enforcement. Based on various signals or conditions, conditional access can block or give limited access to resources. And that's what we kind of see in this diagram here, this zero trust policy model, where we've got identities, we've got sort of the access method, and we've got our devices as well, the data, the apps, the infrastructure, the network, which the user requires access to, but only once they've kind of got through that security policy enforcement and that real-time sort of evaluation. Let's talk a little bit about policy alignment now. So we've got the zero trust principles on the left there. So we've talked about verify explicitly. From a conditional access principle, you're going to move the control plane to the cloud. You're going to integrate apps with Entra ID and protect them using sort of conditional access. You need to consider all clients to be external as well. We'll talk about the zero trust principle of least privileged access. You evaluate access based on sort of compliance and risk. This includes user risk, sign risk, and device risk. And then you use these access priorities as well. So access to the resource directly using conditional access for protection. Publish access to resources by using Entra application proxy, using conditional access for protection. Then use conditional access based VPN to access resources. So restrict access to the level of an app or DNS name. Finally, we have the zero trust principle of assume breach. So this is where you can, the principle here from a conditional access is to segment network infrastructure, minimize use of enterprise PKI, migrate single sign-on SSO from ADFS to password hashsync PHS, minimize dependencies on domain controllers by using Kerberos, KDC, and Entra, and then move the management plane to the cloud and manage devices by using what used to be endpoint management, but is now Intune. And that is the end of this part of the theory on this episode, which is topic. We've got the final topic to come, but we're going to jump into the actually Entra portal and take a look at conditional access policy. So let's jump into the demo portal. So here we are in the Microsoft Entra admin center. So we are in the new admin center for Entra. We're not going to go into the old Azure AD tenant. What I wanted to look at was the conditional access and sort of the new sort of look of it and the sort of conditional access templates that you can do as well. Again, it's going to help you if you're a reviewer. It's going to help you with your sort of designing your conditional access and your identity piece. So there's obviously a lot of options here. We need to go, I think it's under protection, and then you've got conditional access. So you're under identity. There's obviously different aspects of Entra identity, protection, identity governance. We've got the payment stuff. We're going to be looking at that later on in the series as well. So we'll go to identity, protection. We want conditional access specifically. Now you've still got the traditional, create a new policy, as you can do, create a new policy from scratch, custom one. Or the new one is now you can create a new policy from a template, and this is going to save you a lot of time. So again, it's got different, you can look at all of them, or you can look at the different sort of templates they have. So we've got sort of secure foundation. These are all the ones for sort of foundational security. So we've got require MFA for your admins, securing security info registration, blocking legacy authentication. These are all kind of your general, what really should be part of a tenant, from day one. Require MFA for all users, require MFA for Azure management, and require compliant or hybrid Azure AD joined devices, MFA for all users as well. And then as we move on to sort of zero trust, so this is, again, some of them are the same. They've got some of the same policies under the different elements. So the zero trust ones, again, pretty similar to the secure foundation. You got require multi-factor authentication for admins. You've got secure registry info registration. You've got blocking legacy authentication, MFA for Azure management. But it's slightly different is you've got guest, it's require MFA for guests. That's sort of a bit of a difference between the secure foundation and zero trust. Then got remote work, and we can see there's plenty more available in here. Where you've got the security registration info, legacy authentication blocking, MFA for all users, MFA for guest users. Again, the hybrid and Azure AD device for admins, sort of compliant device thing is here. You can configure blocking access for unknown or unsupported device platforms. So that's a new one. No persistent browser sessions, requiring approved client apps, and using an application enforced restrictions for Office 365 apps. And you go forward then to sort of protecting the administrator. Again, the MFA, blocking legacy authentication, MFA for the Azure management, the compliant Azure hybrid device, and you've got a requiring phishing resistant MFA and requiring authenticate MFA for Microsoft admin portals. So the main thing about, I'm just going to select one of these for example. Now, the main great thing about this is going to save you time because it's templated. So you can kind of you can view it first of all, so it shows you the template scenarios that it covers, the users. It's going to be all users. It's excluded. The current user, just so my account would be excluded. It's going to affect all applications, all cloud apps, and the client apps is legacy authentication clients, so anything Exchange, Active Sync clients. So you've probably created this manually yourself, but again, these templates are going to save you a lot of time, and you can go to review and create. And again, you can essentially give it a policy name if you want, or just leave it at the default, or you can set it in a sort of policy state. But what these templates allow you to do is, just want to go back one. just allow you to save your time on sort of having to configure or customize these. If you want to customize them, you can still do the old-fashioned way. But especially these are the very standard conditional access policies. And if you've got a template, you can quickly go through it, put it in report mode, make sure it works okay, and then just apply it. It's going to save you a lot of time. So yeah, that was just a quick overview of what to look at conditional access and some of the templates you can use. That is sort of we're almost done with topic 6 now. So yeah, appreciate everybody watching and appreciate everyone's support. It's been a very popular series. Hopefully it's helping you in your sort of exam topics and your exam prep. Got some very useful descriptions in the I've got very useful links in the description below, including the sort of obviously the GitHub for the case studies. I won't call them labs, they're more case studies. That's why I'm doing these random labs around different topics around security. And it's all kind of linked to the sort of theory we're doing as well within each video. Also a URL to measure up who the sort of main partners for practice exams for Microsoft. So there's a discount link in the description, but also a link to Microsoft Learn where you can get some more free information and sort of study guides, study information for this exam. So make sure you use that. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you subscribe and try to get to that 20k mark before the end of the year. So thank you for watching. Until next time, goodbye.